Let's talk to Andrew Griffith MP, Shadow Business Secretary. He's down, I think, in Westminster for us. Andrew, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike. Always good to be back at the home of common sense.
Indeed. If only there was enough of it to go around. There's not an awful lot of it going on at the moment. We've got the Sun front page this morning, which is quite an extraordinary story about a hotel group called the Stay Belvedere Hotels Limited. They run 51 UK sites. They've won contracts from the government, and I'd have to say some of these might have come from the Conservative government as well. They paid £700 million a year of taxpayers' money. Quite an extraordinary haul for one hotel group, isn't it?
It's unbelievable, and what a shocking use of taxpayers' money. Look, probably some of that was done under previous governments as well. We need to learn the lessons of that, sort out the courts, sort out the Home Office, get back to a position where we control who's in this country, be able to deport foreign national offenders, amongst others, and have an immigration system that properly works for the people of this country. And yet I also read in today's paper that this government, by stealth, is trying to take us back into freedom of movement. They may call it a youth mobility scheme, but if no one ever gets removed at the end of their time here, then it's immigration by another name.
Yeah.
And we've already got, an overheated market for housing, which is why these ridiculous amounts are being spent on keeping people in hotels.
Yeah.
The premium for British graduates has never been smaller, so they go, they work hard, they do what we ask them to do, go to university, and they don't get much of a better job as a result. So I'm not sure that the answer to some of the problems that we face right now is Yvette Cooper and Keir Starmer opening the borders again and getting more people to come here.
Well, it gets worse than that, doesn't it? Because I was talking to Bill Cash a bit earlier on, who obviously used to be very much of a Brexiteer when he was in the government, in the Tory party on the back benches. But there's an awful lot more going on behind the scenes with the European Union. I mean, yesterday we got Ursula von der Leyen invited into Downing Street, sitting there telling us all that she and Keir Starmer are sort of bosom buddies, they're fellow travellers, they believe in the same things, and they're talking about a defence a pact of some kind with the EU. They're talking about fishing rights being given away from this country. They're talking about a net zero policy that would be similar. He called it a total capitulation back to Europe.
Yeah, and this is a government that voted 28 times to reverse the consequences of the Brexit referendum, where people, the British will, the will of the British people was spoken. So they are not to be trusted. Do not trust them an inch. Or a centimetre, perhaps, as they would prefer to put it. You're seeing right now this thing, it's a bit esoteric, Mike, called the Product Regulation and Metrology Bill going through Parliament. That is the EU Surrender Trojan Horse Bill, and what it's doing is giving ministers power to move us back into alignment with Brussels standards all over again. So our hard-won freedoms, the freedoms that the Chancellor should be using to get a fantastic deal for British workers, businesses and the economy in Washington, they are secretly trying to subvert. It's a real challenge.
Yeah, and it's sort of come out of nowhere, hasn't it? I mean, we know that Keir Starmer's obviously been very sort of cosy with European leaders in the past. We know that he likes to hang out with them. He's always trying to organise summits so they can all be together. But all of this actual kind of legislative activity has kind of come out of nowhere, hasn't it? Did you know they were working on all this stuff?
Well, they were at great pains, as with so many other things, taking away the winter fuel allowance, giving away or paying to give away the Chagos Islands. As with so many things, at the election they were dishonest, they told lies, they deceived the British people, and once they got into power they reverted to type. And one of the types is a desire to take us into ever closer alignment with the European Union, so we no longer control our laws, our rules, our regulation and our economy. That is clearly something the Conservative Party has always fought against. Bill Cash is a strong Conservative and has always done that. It is what I and my colleagues are doing in Parliament, trying desperately, despite their supermajority, to fight the legislation that they're putting through that will take us back into the EU orbit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the moment as well, the government is at its lowest level for an approval rating. They've lost yet more popularity. They're now -40, down from -32 just last month. You know, and like the economy, their popularity seems to be heading off a cliff.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I'm not a commentator, but they deserve that. If you tell people lies, if you say that you will reduce energy bills by £300, and then everything that you do with Mad Red Ed Miliband is pushing up energy bills, if you say you're going to grow the economy and growth is your number one objective, and then Rachel Reeves, with her made-up CV, crashes the economy, if you're the Foreign Secretary who goes around the world apologising for British values, British heritage and trying to give away British sovereign territory, it is no wonder. I trust the innate common sense of the British people and they know a dud when they see it. The tragedy is that they still have this supermajority in Parliament and day by day they're trampling on our rights or giving them away to foreign powers.
Yeah. Rachel Reeves, meanwhile, is over in Washington doing her best to say that actually, you know, some of the environmental sort of regulations that we've got in this country have become insane. She's on a sort of collision course with Ed Miliband, who would like to put more of them on and would like to keep putting our prices up every single day that he's in power. What chance has she got, do you think, of convincing anyone that we are a stable country, that we are a growing economy, and we should have money coming in from foreign investors, which apparently she's trying to hook over there? I mean, I think she's got no chance.
Well, if she does more listening than talking, which is not her strength, but if she does more listening than talking to some of our good friends in Washington who have got great belief in this country and its heritage, then she may well, despite herself, come back with a deal, a desperately needed deal. It's one of the few levers that can reverse the damage she's done to her economy. The US is our closest single country trading partner, and right now great industries, whether it's our automotive industry, pharmaceuticals, the financial services, are sitting here in a state of limbo caused by her failure to previously get in the room and previously get a deal. Now, that is completely unnecessary. If the government can give the assurances that our friends in the United States seek about not locking up people for errant Facebook posts, then it seems to me there's lots of reasons why we could get a good deal done with the United States. But certainly keep trying to look backwards, drag us into protectionist Europe, is likely to undermine the prospects of a good deal.
Well, exactly right. And the other big problem we've got, of course, is crime. People keep telling us that all crime figures are getting under control. We're making the streets safer. And Keir Starmer put out a tweet yesterday because he was hanging around with the armed forces saying, "I'm making Britain more secure." Well, Britain is less secure, not least from the migrants coming in on the boats, but also on the streets of our cities. I mean, shoplifting numbers have now hit 500,000 plus over the course of last year. That's practically one offence every minute. Phones are being stolen in London at the tune of 2,000 a week. I mean, you know, it's lawless out there.
It certainly feels like that, Mike, and the authorities, whether it's the Mayor of London or the Home Secretary, absolutely need to get a grip. What message does it send to criminals when this government is releasing people from jail before even the end of their reduced sentences? It just makes a mockery of the system. It must be enormously disheartening to our police forces when they're not engaged in woke agendas or attacking historical liberties like freedom of speech. So the government needs to badly get a grip. Parents, individuals, workers across our country know and fear that they are at risk from this growing wave of crime.
Yes, quite right. Now, just because it's Friday and the sun's shining, I'm going to give you something to smile about here. Keir Starmer was down talking to some apprentices, I think, yesterday, talking about defence and talking about, you know, what people should be doing when they're aiming high for getting jobs. Have a look at what he told them.
We're living in a world which is more insecure, and that's why we've upped defence spending. And it's really important when we talk about defence and security that it translates into well-paid, skilled jobs.
I came on the apprenticeship programme at 18.
My boy is 16, who's just starting his A-levels. I've been saying that degree apprentices are really, really good.
I actually studied politics at university.
Oh, did you? My parents said to me when I was your age, don't go into politics.
If only you'd listened to them, Andrew.
If only he had listened. Look, I mean, let's. I think people go into politics to try and do the right thing, and we need more good people with broader backgrounds in politics. That's what I'd say to anybody interested in getting involved. Come and talk to me or the Conservative Party. But you've got to be honest. You've got to tell the truth. And what we're not seeing from this government ever is telling the truth. We've got, genuine financial illiteracy in our Energy Secretary. We've got a Chancellor that has not told the truth about her own CV, let alone the consequences of decisions she'd made. Yeah. They're pursuing vengeful policies on things like closing down independent schools. Why would you do any of those things? Go into politics to try and make people's lives better. Have the back of business, don't attack business.
Well, exactly right. Andrew, thanks very much indeed. Have a great weekend. Andrew Griffith, their MP, the Shadow Business Secretary as well, saying that, if only Keir Starmer's parents were right and they told him more forcefully, don't go into politics, we wouldn't be suffering in the way that we are.